All right, so here is our monthly staple video. This is our May 2026 real estate market update. We're going to get into all the latest stats for the cities of Temecula, Murrieta, and Menifee, California. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hey guys, hey again, my name is Justin Short. I'm a realtor and team leader with the Short Real Estate team here at Keller Williams in Temecula. And this is our monthly staple video. We're gonna go over all the latest stats here in the cities of Temecula, Murrieta, and Menifee, California. And we're gonna compare today's market stats versus last year's. And we're gonna compare it in the last 12 months, kind of show you how the market has changed over the last 12 months. And then I'll give you some perspective, as a real estate agent and team leader, and some perspective that I get from other colleagues that I talk with, kind of what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis as real estate agents as well. But before we get to all the information, if you are liking real estate videos like this, please do me a favor, please hit like and please hit subscribe to the channel. Obviously it helps me and it helps my channels. We try to continue to grow it. And then if you guys have any real estate questions, you can reach out anytime. You're going to see my information either at the end of the video or down below. So you can feel free, you can call, you can text, you can email me. Happy to answer any questions you may have or help point you in the right direction. Or of course, if I can help you out the real estate search, would love to be a resource for you and would love to have the opportunity to help you and your family. So cool. All right, let's go ahead and get into all the stats. So we're gonna start with last year, and the first stat we're gonna talk about is the total number of new listings. We're gonna start in the city of Temecula, and then we'll start with 12 months ago. So this would be May 2025. So in the city of Temecula, 1 year ago, May 2025, we saw a total of 205 new listings coming up on the market in that month. And then over the last 30 days, we've only seen 177 new listings coming up on the market. So that is a 14% decline in new listings this month compared to last year. And really, that's almost 30 less homes this year compared to a year ago. So that's pretty significant, I would say. City of Murrieta, we're going to see the same trend line. So a year ago, May 2025, in the city of Murrieta, we saw a total of 234 new listings coming up on the market. And the city of Murrieta this year, we are down to 200. So it's a 15% decline there, or 34 less total listings. And then city of Menifee, same thing. So a year ago, total of 237. And this year we are at 196 new listings. So that's a 17% decline. And really, I mean, that's 41 less homes this year compared to last year in Menifee. So across the board, all three cities have less new listings this year compared to last year. And I think that is pretty in step with what I'm seeing as a real estate agent. We are seeing, less homes come up on the market, less options for buyers to choose from. And really, I think it feels like it's just kind of less uncertainty from people that are, putting their home on the market, that are just kind of some general uncertainty with what's going on in the world. There's a lot of things happening from, wars, from higher interest rates, from what's going to happen with the real estate market long term, and just kind of a general uncertainty from a lot of people, which causes people to go back on your heels and just kind of wait if they can. All right, so the next stat we're going to talk about is the total number of active listings for each city. So this is basically, hey, if I'm a home buyer and I want to buy a home in a given city, let's say the city of Temecula, how many homes are there out there for me to choose from, right? If there's very few options, that's going to lend itself to more of a seller's market. And if there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of homes to choose from, then that's going to lend itself to more of a buyer's market. So again, we'll start with the city of Temecula. So a year ago, May 2025, in the city of Temecula, there was a total of 496 available homes out there to choose from. And this year we are down just slightly, but we are down to a total of 464 available homes to choose from. So that is a 7% decrease. It is a total of 30 less listings out there for you to choose from as a home buyer. But I think with what we're seeing, less homes coming up on the market, but the available homes dipping just a little bit, but kind of in more or less in percentage of the new listings coming up on the market, it kind of lends itself to kind of a flat market. Homes are selling relatively about the same pace this year as they were last year, I think it's fair to say, at least in Temecula. So City of Murrieta, we're going to see the same trend line. So a year ago, there's a total of 439 available homes to choose from. This year, we're down to 407. So again, it's a 7% decrease. It's 32 less homes this year, which, I'd still say would be significant for sure. But again, it seems like homes are selling at more or less the same pace that they were a year ago. City of Menifee, this is a bigger change. So last year, there was a total of 559 available homes to choose from. And this year, we are now down to 416 available homes to choose from. So that's a big deal. I mean, that is almost 150 less homes this year compared to last year. That's 26%. I think that's super significant, and it's definitely the biggest outlier and the biggest change that we've seen year over year in quite some time as far as the active available inventory. All right, so the next stat we're going to talk about is the average days on market for each city. And this is basically just, hey, how long is the average home taken to sell, right? If homes are selling super quick, again, that's going to be more of a seller's market. If homes are taking months and months and months to sell, that's going to be more of a heavy buyer's market, right? So in Temecula a year ago, so May 2025, the average home was selling in about 27 days, so less than a month. This year, the average home is now up to 36 days. So percentage-wise, that's definitely 15% change. So it would definitely be significant. But if we just kind of look at the macro numbers, the homes are taking on average 9 extra days to sell this year as opposed to last year. I don't think it's really significant. You're still selling less than 45 days. This would still be considered a pretty pretty seller favored market for sure, even though homes are taking a little bit longer this year as opposed to a year ago. Murrieta, a year ago, the average home was selling in 51 days, and now the average is down to 36 days. So that is a pretty big change. That's a 29% change year over year. I think it's fair to say homes are selling faster this year in Murrieta as opposed to last year. But with the total inventory that we're seeing, I think you kind of feel like it's balanced, right? More or less similar as opposed to what it was a year ago. Homes barely taking longer than a month to accept an offer. City of Menifee is actually no change at all. So a year ago, the average home was taking 42 days to sell. And this year, May 2026, over the last 30 days, the average home is again selling in 42 days. So no change there. Across the board, average days on market are pretty consistent over the last 12 months. All right, and so the last stat we're going to talk about is the average sales price in each city, and it's basically just how much the average home is selling for. So in Temecula a year ago, May 2025, the average home was selling for $885,000. This year, the average sales price is down. It's a 6% decrease. It's down to $833,000. So it's a $50,000 swing. I don't think home values have dipped $50,000 in Temecula. I think it shows more that there's some outliers on either side of things. The average sales price in Temecula has been somewhere in the mid 800,000s for the last couple years now. I think this really shows, average home prices are staying more or less about the same, maybe a slight decline, but more or less pretty flat. At least that's what I see as a real estate agent. In Murrieta, we actually see the other way. We saw a slight increase. I don't think it's really significant, but a year ago in Murrieta, the average home was selling for $763,000. And this year, over the last 30 days, the average home is now selling for $784,000. So that's a 3% increase, $20,000 year over year. Again, I think more or less it's fair to say the market has been pretty flat as far as the average sales price. And it's been that way for a couple of years now, slight increase, slight decrease, that type of thing. City of Menifee, a year ago, the average home was selling for $573,000, and this year we're down to $554,000. So it's a $20,000 decrease, 3% down. Again, I don't think it's significant. We're seeing more or less, homes selling in line with where the recent comps were. I think what we're seeing is more of a flat market. Home values have really kind of been unchanged over the last couple of years, with few exceptions in between. So anyways, that's an update for you guys. It's kind of where things have been over the last 30 days. It'll be interesting, as we're in spring. This is usually the busiest time of year for real estate. And I could say personally, and like the clients that I'm working with and our listings, I would say, the market has slowed down a little bit over the last 30, 45 days. There was a period, February, March, where things are really moving along really, really fast. Over the last 30 days, homes are taking a little bit longer to sell. We're seeing less showings, we're seeing less activity, we're seeing less offers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as we get closer to the school year ending, and it's usually kind of our prime moving time of year, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. You can call, you can text, you can email, and hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks.